SpaceX Starship Updates and Perseverance last days on Earth. Let's begin our video. SpaceX CEO Musk says that Starship's full-scale flight debut could happen as early as this week if a suite of tests planned over the next few days goes according to plan. The SpaceX leader also revealed a bit about the company's plan to create its own custom steel alloy to build the best starships possible, the first of which is already under construction. Beginning with Starship SN8, parts of which have already been spotted in work at SpaceX Texas rocket factory, all future ships are expected to be built out of steel different than the 301 alloy used for all prior ships. Of course, Starship SN8 is likely 2 to 4 weeks at best away from being ready for integrated testing. Instead, Starship SN5 is currently occupying SpaceX's adjacent test stand and launch pad as teams work to prepare the rocket for several tests, potentially culminating in the first flight of the full-scale Starship. For more than 2 weeks, SpaceX has been slowly preparing Starship SN5 for its first wet dress rehearsals and Raptor engine static fires. When a ground systems leak led to a massive fuel-air explosion and Starship SN4's destruction, it severely damaged the pad and required the construction of an entirely new launch mount. It's unclear if SpaceX is attempting to onboard that new system as part of Starship SN5's first major fueling tests, but the flare stack has not been active for weeks and the finicky nature of methane reclamation would certainly explain some of the 10+ days of delays. On July 17th, after many day-by-day delays, SpaceX began Starship SN5's first fueling test. The rocket appeared to be briefly pressurized with ambient temperature gas, possibly methane and oxygen, but the test was quickly aborted. Another attempt on July 20th was also aborted after several hours with no frost. Finally, a third attempt on July 21st was cancelled before it began, although a roadblock was briefly set up prior to the abort. Shortly after the abort, SpaceX published plans for another attempt at Starship SN5's first static fire test on July 22nd with backup windows on the 23rd and 24th. Musk's comment confirms their sourced information that Starship SN5 flight debut could follow just a few days after a successful static fire. Given the sheer number of delays SN5 test campaign has suffered, that's far from guaranteed, but the ship certainly still has a shot at a hot test this weekend if things go perfectly over the next several days. Mars Perseverance rover update. Perseverance is a Mars rover manufactured by the Jet Propulsion Laboratory for use in NASA's Mars 2020 mission. Nearly identical in design to the Curiosity rover, Perseverance will carry 7 scientific instruments to study the Martian surface at zero crater, 23 cameras in total, and 2 microphones. The rover will also be accompanied by the helicopter Ingenuity, which will help Perseverance to scout for locations to study. The rover is scheduled to launch on July 30, 2020 and land on Mars in February of 2021. NASA's Mars 2020 Perseverance rover mission, scheduled to launch on July 30, has cleared its flight readiness review, which is an important milestone on its way to the launch pad. Mars rover Perseverance is loaded into the Los 5 rocket. The work of this rover is to search for ancient life on Mars and some other experiments. This is for this episode. Stay tuned for SpaceX Starship Updates.